today we will take a look at another multi-way hand. Took a long time to solve as always if it's deep and multi-way, but I was really unsure what to do in game, so it was really important for me to figure this out, what is correct, and I want to share it with you. Action opens with me in the button. I open. That was actually funny. I disconnect my computer. I had like an issue and I logged in from the mobile phone actually, so to not be on sit out, and therefore I didn't really have my hotkeys, and so I just opened with a min raise. Usually when I'm deep on a button, I'm opening deeper. It was just a fun fact here. Playing 501k from the mobile phone was also, a new experience. Let's say it like this. I play on my left course as well as does the big blind, and we are going on this flop. So I have multiple thoughts here. First of all, I know that in terms of 3x I perform very poor, but same issue applies at least for the small blind. He will really struggle with 3x. If we take a look at the big blind, then we know that he has a lot more 3x than we have. But it's also not like it's super great for him, right? Because especially if we take a look at his offsuited defense, he's not going to call 6-3, 7-3 or 4. I mean 4-3, yeah, could be argued, especially because I'm min raised. But what I'm trying to say is if the paired board is like paired with a 6 or whatever, then the big blind would have even more trips because he's defending 6-5 offsuited and maybe 7-5 and so on. But if it's like very low, a paired deuce or a paired 3, it's maybe not as great for him as the first impression would say. So I think c-betting here is okay. I decided to check back. I really struggle to improve. I mean, of course I can improve to the 7, but yeah, not the greatest spot I think to bet. So let's take a look what happens here on the turn. Big blind decides to lead here pretty big, which also makes sense. I mean, as mentioned, he has the advantage in 3x. Now I might be a little bit capped already because I checked back. I'm not sure how often I will have the overpairs here if I check back. I will mix in some for sure. Nevertheless, I don't really see any option beside the call. I mean, we have the 7. It's too strong to fold. It's way too weak to raise it. And so we just call and see what happens. Let me skip here a bit. The small blind folds, and now is really the point of decision where I got headache. And this was a table where it was basically agreed on the table to like fast play, and especially that made it even harder because for a decision like this I would like to take my time now and think through everything. In game I had to make a decision within like 7-8 seconds. It was not really appreciated to think longer than that unless the pot is huge. So what were my quick thoughts? So I try to do it both ways. I'm sharing what I thought in game, like in a 7-8 seconds time frame, and then I try to add a little bit more information that I can get out of the hand when I have like 30 seconds more to think about it. So in game I was thinking, okay, of course he's betting like flush draws, spades and hearts. That is a big part beside the 3x of course. But I also was thinking the deuce he would not bet with that size on the turn. Oh sorry, my phone alert. Let's not get interrupted. So he would not bet the size with the deuce. I'm confident about that. So on the river, it's now when he bets, it's like a bit of an, well, I can already see it exceeds the 7-8 seconds that I had in game by a mile. But nevertheless, those were the quick thoughts that I was quickly checking up. I was thinking, okay, the deuce, very unlikely. The 3, definitely a big part of his range, but I was a bit confused because why would he not polarize more? I mean, if he has the 3 or nothing, then it's a spot where you should polarize yourself, right? We all know that. But he doesn't. So would he really bet just 2/3 with the top full house here? And then I was thinking, yeah, maybe it's a bit exploitable as well, that he really like tries to get the call, was confused about that. Backdoor flush arrived as well. I thought that's probably the most likely hand with this size, that he just has a flush, and I ended up folding. I mean, it's a really tough spot, but I have to say I felt like a big in it when I made this fold, because it's hard for me to have a stronger hand, right? Can I have the deuce? I mean, yeah, maybe. The 3, extremely unlikely. Anything stronger than the 7, potential overpair. Wow, so good. Actually, I think I already shared all the thoughts that I had, even if I have more time. Well, if I would take another minute or something, then the only thing that I would get sharper in is like how important I rate everything. How likely do I think that he would play the full house with this size, and so on. And in the end, I just run it. I looked up the result, and I'm very glad to say that the fold I made here is actually the best play. If I have the heart blocker, I have a call, and without the heart blocker, I can fold. And you can even see the tilt emoji. I was immediately extremely tilt up after making the fold, but now I'm not tilt anymore because I know it was a good fold, right? And that's why I enjoy studying sometimes as well. Like, I have hands where the decisions like really bothered me, and we know there's a lot of money in play, and of course I'm like, damn it, maybe I should have called. It's such a tight fold, and now I can sleep like a baby again because I know, well, it was a good fold, no need to be worried about. And yeah, that was just what I wanted to share with you. So I want to show you a multi-way hand. I can proudly announce that I played this hand correct. But also I have a little bit of a sad feeling seeing how this hand has to be played. So that was enough with the preview. Let's jump into the action. Open, early position, button calls, 2 very strong racks. I complete in a big blind. Have in mind we have antes here. Without antes, maybe it's even a fold at this point. And I flop nothing. So at this point I'm done with the hand. It's like, okay, let's wait for the next spot. However, it goes check, check, check. And this is where the situation gets a little bit sad, I must say. At least for me it feels like that. Alright, so what's happening on the turn? I improved significantly. I improved to a straight draw, and I have the hearts as well. However, looking at this situation objectively, the board overall is terrible for me. Well, maybe terrible is too strong of a word, but let's say that they perform significantly better on this board with their range than I do in the big blind. I don't have pocket aces, I don't have pocket jacks, I would squeeze ace jack a decent amount of time as well, so I really struggle having strong hands. Of course I don't have ace king, I hardly have ace queen. Nikita has most of those hands. He will be not c-betting that aggressive into 2 players and being out of position on the flop deep. So he's rather passive on the flop. He still has a ton of strong hands, and the button also has plenty of ace x hands. He has plenty of jack x hands. He has plenty of flush draws, combo draws. So overall, looking like how he hits the entire board, how he connects with the board, how Nikita connects with the entire board, I just don't perform on this board, and that's why I don't lead it. My hand itself really looks like a hand that I want to lead. As mentioned, I have the heart plus I have the straight draw, but overall I need to play incredibly passive on this specific turn or on this board, just because early position and the button are so strong I can't really bet into them. Overall, as a strategy, it's not a working strategy to bet with the superior range into way stronger ranges. And that's why I checked here, and I was hoping, of course, that I can realize my equity somehow. Let's increase the speed. Did I say superior? I meant inferior. I meant, I think, the opposite, right? So I am a lot weaker with my range, as explained. Okay, so Nikita bets here, the button folds. And I was like thinking, what are my options here? Let's wait till the button folds. Here we go. Now, what are my options? I have only 10 high. Do I really have the odds to call with just my straight draw? If the straight draw arrives in clubs or in hearts, it's not brilliant either. If I have a 10 or a 9, it's not enough to call down. So I figured out that against early position range, I actually have to let go here. And that's what I meant. I mean, now it gets even more sad. It already was sad to me, at least on return, having to check fold a hand like this. And now I realize that I would have made the nuts. However, what is the very positive thing is that the solver confirmed my play here. The check fold is really the best way to play this hand. And so I have mixed feelings. I'm happy I hit the line. I'm very sad of like having to check fold this hand. And I want to share with you my emotional roller coaster in this hand, and hopefully also content-wise, that you have to be very careful in some multi-way situations when you know your opponents are a lot stronger on specific boards than you are, and even it looks like my hand fits perfect, I cannot take the initiative here.